And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike, the man over here, the myth, the man, the legend, Marcus, the sports freak. Marcus,
Yep.
how you doing on this fine Friday afternoon?
I couldn't be more pumped, man. Patrick McCaw three-peated. He won two with the Warriors last year. Now he's on Toronto. That guy won three. What a lavish life for him, Patrick
Right
McCaw.
there, you go.
Three championships in a row, man. So he three-peated. The Warriors didn't, but Patrick McCaw did. He knew who to. He knew where to go. He saw Kawhi Leonard going there.
Yeah. So, as you guys heard it, Toronto Raptors won last night, but we had back-to-back nights where franchises won their first championship.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Blues on Wednesday night, the Toronto Raptors this past night. But before we get too carried far into that, Marcus, I want to wish you a very happy Father's Day. I want you to be the first one to hear it from myself. So
Yeah,
happy Father's Day to yourself. Ladies, kids, if you guys haven't got your daddy anything a gift yet, he could use a Warriors jersey because they'll be on sale.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Hey, and happy Father's Day to you too. And hey, did you even watch the finals last night, or did you catch your Royals beating the Tigers 7-3?
I was flipping back and forth because I'm actually in Kansas, so I'm getting Fox Sports Midwest, and I'm getting all the Royals games I like I can. So, but as you alluded there, the Toronto Raptors did beat Golden State last night. It was a pretty good back and forth game. Yeah. The very first quarter, I was awestruck. Like they shot the most threes in a quarter in a NBA's final history. Kyle Lowry got to double digits as the fastest anybody has ever have.
Right.
I think it was since like 1966. And what the end of the first quarter was like 36-35 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is going to be like a 130, 140 point game. And it turned out to be a great game. So before we get too carried away, like, what are your thoughts on the game this past night?
Well, Toronto, I think, was just a better team the entire series. Even with Klay Thompson in there, Toronto outplayed them with Klay Thompson in there for most of the series. So, I was sick last night to my stomach listening to Mark Jackson saying, like, oh, woe's me. How is Golden State even in this thing? And I'm thinking to myself, out on the floor, Mark is Stephen Curry, a two-time MVP, Boogie Cousins, Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. These are like all-stars, throughout their careers. Like, what are you talking about, man? I mean, it's just sickening to hear that, like, just already making excuses like, oh, I don't know how they're here. Ridiculous. The Warriors got a taste of their own medicine throughout the years. They've won titles and been in positions to win titles because other teams have gotten hurt. Kawhi Leonard, 2017, LeBron James teams in 2015. So they finally got a little taste of their medicine. And then they also got a taste of their own medicine when you see Van Fleet hitting all these threes and Kyle Lowry hitting all those threes. That's what Stephen Curry does usually. But Stephen Curry comes up shy and, in the big moments as usual. He was 6 for 19 in Game 7 in 2016. And he made, 6 for 19, made 6 shots in one of the most critical games of his entire career. In a Game 7, LeBron James wins. And then last night, Curry makes 6 shots again. He just duplicated himself. So he had 21 points, and he was 6 of 17 from the field. So this guy made 6 shots, Stephen Curry, the entire game. I mean, that's not going to get it done. And they almost won, which is amazing. That shows you, how good the Warriors are. They were resilient. This thing should have been they should have got swept, but Toronto messed around and let them win a few quarters. And Golden State does what they do. They play in spurts, and then they stole a game or two here. So Toronto was the better team, and they had the best player in the world in Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this guy's amazing. 2-time Finals MVP. That puts him in select company right there. With getting that Finals MVP twice, and then to do it for 2 different teams. I mean, that puts him only with Kareem and LeBron. And then he also his playoff run is miraculous. I think only LeBron James and Michael Jordan have scored more points on their playoff run. And this is the first time since Larry Bird that a player, and I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard here, has taken his team to win a title and led them in points and rebounds and assists. It's the first time since 1984, Larry Bird. So this guy is amazing, and he's special. And Toronto was just a better team throughout the series. I mean, I know people go, oh, injuries and all this stuff, and injuries and what have you and stuff like that. But um, Toronto was the better team, man. I'm sorry, getting a phone call here. I don't know why they're calling me. But yeah, Toronto was just a better team. I don't really count, the Kevin Durant thing being injured. They're still great without Kevin Durant. I mean, this team won 73 games, and maybe not with the depth that they had on that 73-win team. Let me be very clear here. But they still put the product out there of a lineup of death that won 73 games, that ended those games, and they got outplayed by the Toronto Raptors. And so, congrats to Toronto Raptors. It'll probably be a one-year thing. They'll, but hey, you can't complain. If you're a Toronto fan and Kawhi Leonard leaves, I mean, dude, the guy came and he brought you a championship, man.
Yep.
It's unreal. I mean, so you can't really be mad at Kawhi Leonard if he leaves.
No, the only thing I'm mad about the whole situation last night is the singer-rapper Drake doing a press conference interview like after the game, like he just won the championship, like he just played the game. That was absolutely ridiculous and crazy. It's something I never want to see again.
Oh.
But I did share it on the Marcus and Mike's Facebook page,
Yeah.
guys, if you guys are interested in like seeing that. But just to add to your points there, the Raptors did have a better team, but they did not have the better starting five. So you can say if the Golden State Warriors were healthy, they would have done this, and this. And looking back on it, this would have been a 7-game series, but I still think the Raptors would have came out on top, even if the Golden State Warriors were at 100%, just because of the heart and the resilience that the Raptors played with. They just seemed to they could not do anything wrong. So it's just the way they played was just, it was a championship caliber of series that they played. Just to add to some points there of why this team is a better team, they had 37 points off the bench from two guys. Van Vliet had 22 points, and
Van Vliet is amazing.
And then Ibaka had like 15 points. And a pal, I think he was averaging 5 or 6 points like in the series. He didn't get any points off the bench this past night, but they didn't really need it because Ibaka and Van Vliet they were amazing off the bench. And when you get that type of production off of your bench, you are going to win a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, I mean, and to prove your point, I mean, Toronto was 6-2 this year versus the Warriors in 8 games.
Yeah,
and the 2 that the Warriors won were kind of like Toronto fell asleep.
Right.
So, and then also, this isn't as big a deal as Durant, but the Toronto Raptors played without OG Anunoby, probably their second best defender besides Kawhi Leonard through the entire series. So
that is 100% right.
Yeah, and so it wasn't like the Raptors were 100% healthy either. So, and then let me go back to Stephen Curry real quick. He's 6 of 17 last night. He was 6 of 19 in Game 7 in 2016, and he's now 0-8 shooting in any playoff game with 20 seconds left to go. So, listen, Stephen Curry's a great player, okay? Let's just be very clear here. He's a top 50 player of all time, but he has come up short. He is not a Kawhi Leonard. He is not a LeBron James.
He doesn't have the clutch gene.
Well, he may have some clutch genes in there somewhere because he's a great player. But he's not up there with the top 10 of all time or top 20 of all time. I'm sorry, he is not.
Since you threw out that 0 of 8 shooting stat, I had that down as well. This reminds me exactly of like Peyton Manning in the NFL when they were like 13-3 and 14-2 like all those years, and then they lose in the first round of the playoff games. I mean, it just like some people have it like give me the ball at the end of the game, and some players don't, and that's why the Warriors needed a player like KD because he wants the ball at the end of the game, and Steph didn't want it. Klay Thompson sometimes wants it, but I think he is something like 2 of 10, like in that last minute or like the last 30 seconds. So it's just those stats are crazy. Like how this team is a dynasty, air quotes, and they have to have somebody like KD to win all those championships.
Well, yeah, they needed KD. I mean, that's it's funny. I put on a post last night. who is Draymond Green calling tonight in the parking lot to come help them beat Toronto? Like, you know what I mean? Like he had to call Kevin Durant because that's how the Hampton Five got started because they knew they couldn't beat LeBron James. So he's calling. I'm sure Draymond Green's calling somebody this morning, tonight, last night to come help him out. They don't have enough talent, I guess, in Golden State, so they need.
Who do you think would like end up there?
I don't think anybody would end up there. I mean, but that's why Kevin Durant is such a punk decision. Why would you go add on to somebody's titles list? I mean, dude, go make a name for yourself. You know, try to be like Kawhi Leonard and, you know, dethrone 2 dynasties. You know,
right.
I mean, basically, you know, single-handedly in terms of, you know, being a star power on a team. It's just amazing to watch, man. Kawhi Leonard. You know, I mean, the dude's unreal, man. He's a cyborg, a robot, and last night was funny. Is you know, he ended up, I think, in the finals. I think he averaged like 28 points and 10 rebounds, but last night he only had 22 and 6. Man, you're 100% correct. They got big contributions from Siakam and Kyle Lowry and Van Fleet. Holy moly, man, that guy!
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, he made himself a lot of money. They're gonna have to pay Fred Van Fleet. And they played with 2 small guards lots of times. And a lot of times that doesn't work. You have 2 6-foot guys out there, Kyle Lowry and Fred Van Fleet.
Yeah.
You know? But it works if you've got players like Siakam, Ibaka, Gasol, and Kawhi Leonard that make up for the size. So that's interesting. And then real quick, you talk about how they needed Kevin Durant, the Golden State Warriors. And I think I told you this earlier before we started. The Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson Golden State Warriors are now in 18 finals game. They have a record of 8-10 without Kevin Durant. So playing against Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James, the 4 All-Stars without Kevin Durant couldn't get it done against Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. They needed Kevin Durant to beat Kawhi Leonard. And so, yeah, just to put it in perspective, how good that shows you how good Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James are.
Right.
And Kawhi Leonard, like LeBron James, LeBron James can shift balance of power wherever he goes. Kawhi Leonard will have that same opportunity, and we'll talk about that. Something I think you said Max Kellerman said. I didn't even see it this morning.
Yeah.
But Kawhi Leonard can shift the balance of power wherever he goes, and that same thing LeBron James can do as well. So we'll see what happens in the free agency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Say before we switch total gears on that. I do want to reflect on Game 6 a little bit more. Klay Thompson did go down with a ACL tear with about 6 minutes left or 7 minutes left in the game. And at that point, as soon as Klay Thompson went down, you saw the building just deflate itself. So the Golden State Warriors had every opportunity still to win this game. And with they had a turnover here late. Draymond Green called that timeout when they didn't have any timeouts, and that pretty much sealed the game for the Raptors at that point, because I believe it was 109 to 111 or something like at that point.
Right.
And then Draymond did call that timeout and get a technical foul, so they got a shot like off of that. So that play reminded me of the Michigan Fab Five days when who was it? Jalen Rose that called the timeout?
No, Chris Webber called the timeout.
Chris Webber called the timeout. So I mean, it was definitely flashback. I wonder how Draymond's going to handle that. Because he was going to get a lot of flack for that from his teammates and everybody.
Well,
and
he had no choice because with 0.9 left to go, I mean, if he doesn't call timeout there, the game just ends. I mean, the game ended anyway. So it was really, I mean, it's not like there was 10 seconds left. He called the timeout with less than a second left. I mean, it didn't matter anyway. The game was over. He could have called timeout. He could have just turned and cried. He could have turned and just handed the ball to Kawhi Leonard, or the game was over, completely over. So I mean, whatever that. I mean, man, and the Warriors get in trouble too in their dynasty run, even with Kevin Durant. But I mean, with Kevin Durant, they're just too talented. They beat everybody. But they commit a lot of turnovers, and last night they had a lot of turnovers again. Whenever they go up against great defense, and then sometimes even when they don't, they get too careless with the basketball. Draymond Green threw the ball away a few times as well. Stephen Curry commits a lot of turnovers throughout his career. That's one of the times. That's one of their Achilles heel is turnovers, and it happened again last night. They turned the ball over a lot in crucial situations.
Yeah, it was just that toward the end of the game, it was kind of hard to watch because
Yeah.
they were pressing so much there. But like I was alluding to, Klay Thompson did tear his ACL.
Yeah.
He got hurt, I believe it was game 2 with a quad injury or a hamstring injury. I can't remember
Hamstring.
which one off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then he
Hamstring.
had KD with that calf injury, air quotes, and then ended up tearing his Achilles. So my question to you right now is, do you think there's a problem with the Golden State staff, like the team doctors and stuff? Like are they not caring for these players like the way they should? Are they pushing them to be great and like get back on the court, kind of like how San Antonio did Kawhi, this past year or 2 years ago? Or is it just a matter of playing an extra 45 games a year in the playoffs for the last five years?
I listen. The Golden State medical staff has a lot of answering questions to do. When they brought back Kevin Durant too soon, and Klay Thompson. I mean, it's a war of attrition. And Klay Thompson, these Stephen Curry, these guys are ticking time bombs when they get hurt because they played so much. So yes, the Warriors medical staff is in question with the Kevin Durant situation, but I think the Klay Thompson injury is more of, this is their 5th straight finals. I witnessed that with the Spurs. The Spurs won 3 championships in 5 years, and this Golden State Warrior run, they won 3 championships in 5 years. Now, the difference in the Spurs 3 championships in 5 years, the Spurs went out in the second round with the .4, and then Manu Ginobili fouled Dirk Nowitzki in Game 7. But the Spurs, in that 5-year run, played more games than anybody in the NBA, obviously, and the Golden State Warriors probably have played about 30 more games than the Spurs did in that 5-year run. So this is a war of attrition, Michael. So no, I think it has to do with Klay Thompson playing a lot of games and Draymond Green playing a lot of games and Stephen Curry playing a lot of games, and Iguodala was banged up. If this wasn't the finals last night, Iguodala would be on the shelf for a couple of weeks with his ailments. So this is them playing. It's more about them playing all these games more so than the Warrior staff. But the Warrior staff is a little bit in trouble here with the Durant situation. Unless Kevin Durant, is just going to take full responsibility for himself and say, I pushed it, I played, I shut everybody out. It's all my fault. It's nobody's fault, and I'm going to sign again with the Warriors. But that being said, I don't think that's a good organization, man. You have to stop Kevin Durant from playing. Sometimes you have to save the players from themselves. And the Warriors staff and Kevin Durant's family didn't do that. So I think the Warriors medical staff is at fault here for the Kevin Durant situation. But in terms of Klay Thompson last night, I don't think they're at. I think it's just because they played so many games in all these years. It's 5 straight finals. That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to report they couldn't do better than my Spurs. They tied my Spurs in a little 5-year span. My Spurs won 3 championships from 2003 to 2007, and the Golden State Warriors won 3 championships. So you can't say that they won more championships than my Spurs in a 5-year span.
Right.
So I'm very happy about that.
Right. And I was doing some math. I was calculating how many games they played throughout the playoffs. They played equivalent of almost 3 years of basketball in these last 5 years in the playoffs. So in
That's
this
insane.
5-year stretch, they're playing little over 8 seasons of basketball. So yes, that's going to wear and tear on anybody's body, even the greatest athletes in the world.
Yes.
They're going to sprain an ankle, get a quad, and that is where the medical staff. That's why those medical people get paid so much money. Is because I remember, what was it, back in 2015, 2016, when LeBron James said he didn't want to play for the Olympic team. They said he was running equivalently of it's 6,000 miles a year or something like that. So these basketball players are running 5,000 to 6,000 miles a year on their body, and you do that 18, 19 years. You're putting a lot of wear and tear on those legs and knees and stuff. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
What you just pointed out. It's like having 3 more NBA seasons. That's just insane.
Yeah. So a ACL injury can't be predicted. You kind of got to throw that out the window. Just because he had a hamstring injury, it is not going to really affect the ACL. Now what you pointed out was, I believe, was last week, the calf and the and the Achilles pretty much work hand in hand. So
yeah.
and when it was first reported a month ago, it said it was a level one strain, a level one calf strain, and
Uh,
I'm hearing people now say that it was probably he probably injured his Achilles the whole time, and
yeah.
I've had a friend of mine that you slightly tear an Achilles. There's really nothing that they can do. You just have to wait till it fully breaks or tears, and then they go in and they repair it. So people are speculating that that is what KD had, was a slight tear in his
Right.
Achilles, and they just didn't want to say it. I don't know why. Is it the
And,
Patriots
and the
effect? Like,
fact that's insane, Michael. So why would he even think about playing? He's an idiot then. Like there's no why.
well, well
I,
the
I,
well
and
the
why would the medical staff let him out there? Why would his family let him out there? That's crazy.
the reason is because you cannot fix that until it's completely tore, and the only way to completely tear it is just to play. So like if maybe in the back of his head, like he's like, well, like I can get three or four games out of this and like win us a championship.
Hey,
So
did you notice when he got hurt,
no,
his facial expression and all that?
no, I really
Oh no, it
I turned
wasn't like a
away.
shock. Oh man, no, it wasn't like a shock or anything. When people have
Yeah,
torn their Achilles tendon, it was like a shock on their face, like, oh my God, what
right.
is that? It hurts. This guy was looking at the bench saying, "Oh man, it tore. We knew it."
Yeah.
Like, damn, like I knew it.
So I mean like that tells you there
Yeah,
that he knew it was already going to tear.
yeah,
It was just a matter of time. Uh,
yeah. I noticed his facial expression, man. He wasn't surprised at all.
yeah. So I think the medical staff has to take a maybe they are not going
Yep.
to get blamed as much because like there's nothing that they could have done. Like that's what I'm trying to say, I
Okay,
guess.
well, I mean, if you want to go that angle, I still wouldn't have played him. I mean, I'd have, but yeah. But
So, are you saying, just hey, just leave this slightly tore? You won't play for the rest of the season. You're going to go to New York, sign that $225 million deal, and then tear it the first game in like in a Knicks
yeah,
uniform.
yeah, I mean, well, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not. I have never heard of you just go ahead and tear your Achilles. I mean, you have to like work on it and start, rehabbing or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't. I mean, almost doesn't make sense. But I mean, so no, I wouldn't have played. I'm not going to sit out there and go, hey, I'm waiting for my Achilles to tear. Let me get a few jumpers in.
Well, like I hear that for like ACL tears too. Like if you slightly tear an ACL, you can still play on it. I mean, you're not going to do any more damage to it. It's just a matter of getting it fixed.
Yeah.
So I mean, but like
And also, we'll see real quick what the Warriors do. This is going to be really interesting off season for them. They're going to keep all their players, and then this is the craziest stat I've heard all year. If you were to tell me this 20 years ago, I probably would have said you're lying. Get out of my face. Four players: Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. Four players now, just four, are going to cost the Warriors if they re-sign all four of them this summer and then next year is going to cost them $1.6 billion. Um,
billion with the
it- it-
B.
yeah, there weren't even teams. There's not even teams worth 1 point. And this four play. I mean, that's an amazing stat. I can't wait to see. If they keep all four players, they're going to let one walk. Looks like they're really interested in keeping Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. And why wouldn't you be? But they're going to keep Draymond Green with that. And
Draymond to LA.
Draymond Green's contract runs up next year. So, is Draymond Green going to get his 200 million? I mean, I really don't. I mean,
No,
this is hard. It's hard for me to
he's
believe.
not worth it.
Well, to the Golden State Warriors, I mean, maybe he is. I don't think he is, but he is like their heart and soul of that team, man. I mean, he makes it go. But you're going to have to give up one of them, I think. I mean, and it's Draymond Green will be the casualty. Hey, and I hate Draymond Green, but I'll take him on my Spurs.
Yeah.
But he won't. But nobody's going to pay him 200 million. I mean, he'll sign like a nice little $100 million contract, and he better be happy with that. So
He's a player that you don't want to play against, but you want him on your team.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
it is just his
Right.
attitude. So I mean, last night we wrapped up the 2019 season, and I was scrolling through the interwebs earlier today, and I saw this post like this headline. I didn't really read too much into it because I was like, this is pretty far fetched here. But Max Kellerman from ESPN said the
Yeah.
2020 championship is going to go to the LA Clippers.
Ooh.
The LA Clippers.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's banking on Kawhi is going to go to LA along with Draymond or somebody else. But way too early picks here. Who do you see winning the 2020 championship, Marcus?
That is a great. You know what? Max Kellerman has been killing Stephen A. Smith for the past month. And Stephen A. Smith. I like the guy a little bit, but man, I'm sick of Stephen A. Smith's mouth. I really am.
He's starting to reach way too much for things.
Yeah, the guy's 0 for 9 now in his last 9 finals picks, which is amazing. He keeps on reiterating that Kawhi Leonard's not the best player in the world. What an idiot. So I'm almost sick of sick of Stephen A. Smith. Max Kellerman destroys him all the time, and I'm listening. Let me tell you something. Max is not that far off on this. I just talked about LeBron James, being like the balance of power. He can change franchises wherever he goes. Kawhi Leonard has that power, and he has that ability. So, man, if the Clippers were to sign Kawhi Leonard, and you think about their team with Montrezl Harrell, you saw them beat Golden State a couple of times. And Lou Williams, sweet Lou, man. I know he's 32 years old, but he's got a couple of good years left in him. Lou Williams he scores almost as easily as Stephen Curry. I mean, he's like, he's in that range. He's in that area. And you put Kawhi Leonard on that Clipper team, and he's got Danilo Gallinari and Landry Shamet, both great shooters. Then Gidgis Alexander, 6'6" point guard. And, man, Patrick Beverly, one of the best defenders I've ever seen. Man, I wouldn't shock me at all if the Clippers won the championship. Golden State's not winning it next year. So Toronto won't be back. So you could have a Clippers Milwaukee Bucks final next year. I know that sounds crazy right now, but it depends on where all these free agents go and what happens. If the Lakers get Anthony Davis and sign Jimmy Butler, the Lakers and Clippers will be the 2 best teams in the West. And Denver might be that 3rd team. This is crazy. Kellerman is not that far off. I actually put that in a post in another forum that Kawhi Leonard joins the Clippers. They could be back. So I'm agreeing with Max Kellerman. That's not far off at all. And Vegas will tell you that. And Vegas was weird. Usually I'm on par with Vegas, but they had this wrong. Vegas even had Toronto. Had Golden State winning the thing and the BPI and all this index and all that. They had the Warriors winning almost every game this series. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they still believed in the Warriors. Vegas kind of went down with the Titanic. They were the band playing the violin.
Right.
And there's a picture of the sports books, and they're taking the Warriors, and they just sunk. There's lots of people like that, though, man. They went down with the Titanic on this one. They picked the Warriors till the dying end.
Yeah.
So
me.
Yeah. So you like the band on the Titanic. Y'all went down with the ship. But hey, Golden State's not winning it next year. So this free agency is going to be unbelievable. I can't wait for the draft. We'll talk about that Monday. But whoever Kawhi Leonard decides to go to, wow, they're going to get a player that can look what just happened. The guy just took the Toronto Raptors to the NBA championship. So yes, absolutely, the LA Clippers could be playing the Milwaukee Bucks next year in the finals because Toronto won't be there, and Kawhi Leonard will be an LA Clipper. It's probably going to happen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Clippers Bucks would be maybe my early prediction. But I think Kawhi Leonard might sign that. He might do what Durant did with the Warriors. It's like a 2-year, $55-60 million deal. And with a player option after the following year.
Right.
So he'll be Kawhi Leonard at 28 years old will be a free agent. They'll resign to see if Toronto can repeat.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I have to agree with you. I think Kawhi will be the balance of power. If he goes to the West, and if AD goes to the West as well, and they both end up in LA. The LA teams will probably be at least the top 3 teams, that like the top 2 of the 3 of the top 2 teams, or 2. They'll both be in the top 3 at some point.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the Clippers making it to the championship. I know Kawhi is a special talent, and he can carry the team. He's shown it this year. But you have to look at Philadelphia over there, what they got. They are a solid team. They took the Raptors to 7 games. It took a last-second miracle shot to win that game, and they aren't losing anybody. That like I can foresee. That's another year, of Ben Simmons hopefully getting a jump shot. Also getting a player or two in the draft so they can replace Ben Simmons. But you got to watch out for Philly.
Yeah, well, that's if they resign everybody, Michael. Though, but
Yeah,
I mean, there's reports that they're not. Jimmy Butler might be gone, Tobias Harris might be gone, and so Philadelphia might not look that good, might not look that impressive. Yeah, don't do that though, man. Don't say you don't see the Clippers in the championship, man. Nobody saw Toronto in the championship either. Yeah, that's how good Kawhi Leonard is.
You're 100% right, and people were saying the same thing about the St. Louis Blues. Like when I picked them earlier this year to root for them, nobody saw them winning over like 10 games and they won the championship. So, I mean, everything's up in the air, obviously. And, this is way too early because the draft hasn't even happened yet. You don't even know what young players they're going to get in there to try to mold, or if free agency, which free agency kicks off I believe it was at the 28th or something, or the 26th is when free agency kicks off, I think. So we're going to see a lot of movement here.
Yeah, and real quick, if LeBron doesn't get anybody, they're not going to be there either. And as good as LeBron is, he's 35 years old. And if everybody stands pat, you know who comes out of the West next year? The Nuggets. The Nuggets. Yep. But I think they'll be the 3rd seed because I do think the Clippers are going to get Kawhi Leonard unless he signs that 2-year deal with Toronto. And I do think the Lakers are going to get Anthony Davis and Jimmy Butler. So now you're looking at the Lakers and Clippers being the 2 best teams in basketball. In the West. And then Denver a 3rd.
I mean, so the West is so deep too. The West is deep. The West is deep.
Yeah, and the Milwaukee Bucks are a beast too. They're not going anywhere.
No.
Greg Freak gets a jump shot, and he's going to develop that. And he just happened to run into Kawhi Leonard, man.
Yeah, it's just a very good Kawhi Leonard. Like I was kind of, I'll be the first one to admit this. I was sleeping on him when he was in San Antonio. Like I thought he was just a above average player that just happened to have a pretty good couple finals games, and he had help around him. He had Tim Duncan and Ginobili Parker and like all that stuff. But seeing him this playoffs, I am a Kawhi fan.
I've been watching this kid since college, and I was shocked he went 15th overall.
Yeah,
he was better than the Morris twins.
Right.
No, and his rookie year, he was killing it. I mean, and he was leading the Spurs in minutes in the 2013 finals. Think about that for a second. They had Parker, Duncan, Ginobili. And who was leading them in minutes in 2013 finals at 21 years old? Kawhi Leonard. So Pop knew. And then he could have got finals MVP at 21. He averaged 15 points and 11 rebounds as a 21-year-old kid.
That's crazy.
Think about that for a second. Dude was a beast, man. And then and I think they put him in the summer league one year. And the Spurs, he played 3 summer league games. He looked like LeBron James, and he had 3 more summer league games to go, and the Spurs pulled him. They said, "Get the 3 games. We saw enough." He just destroyed every college kid and people trying to make the NBA in the summer league. And at the 3-game sample size, they said, "You're never doing summer league again, dude."
It's crazy how so many people slept on him, though. But
yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, and what's amazing is Toronto had no lottery picks. That's insane to me. They won a championship with no lottery picks, and Kawhi was the 15th overall selection, so 1 pick outside the lottery. And let me say this about the East. What Toronto did and Kawhi Leonard did to get to the championship and win it, they went through a much harder road than what Golden State had to go through 100%. To get to the championship. I mean, the Houston Rockets throwing up 63s a game, 53s a game, they're not as good. They weren't as good. Philadelphia had the best starting 5 in basketball, besides the Warriors with Durant, and Kawhi beat them. It took them 7, but Kawhi beat them. And then Milwaukee Bucks, they won 60-plus games, and 55 of those wins, including the playoffs, were at least by double digits.
Yeah.
Coach Bud turned that thing around. If Milwaukee played Houston in the finals, Houston would get beat.
Oh, easily.
Easily. So, and Portland, Portland would. Can you imagine Portland against Toronto in the finals?
Sweet.
The thing. Every game would have been 110 to 85.
Yeah, ugly game, ugly series.
Ugly. And then Golden State barely beat Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 4-game sweep, there was a lot of close games. Toronto would shut McCollum and Damian Lillard down. It wouldn't even be a contest, really.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so to Kawhi Leonard and those guys, people talk about, oh, it's an asterisk championship. Shut up. They had to go through Philly and Milwaukee to get there. That's much tougher than what Golden State had to do. So there's no asterisk anywhere. They were 6-2 this year against Golden State, and for the most part, in all 8 of those games, the Toronto Raptors outplayed the Golden State Warriors with Klay Thompson on the court. So let's not kid ourselves. There's no asterisk anywhere. Toronto was the better team.
Yeah, Marcus, you were 100% right, as always. You've been pretty right this whole NBA playoff time. But, guys, join us on Monday. We have a special Marcus the Freak mock draft 2.0.
Yes.
We got the Royals baseball happening tonight in Minnesota at 8:10. So if you're in the Minnesota area, be sure to wear a Kansas City hat. I wear Kansas City hat every time I go to the minor league game here in town. We have a Reds affiliate team here. The Louisville Blats. Shout out to those guys. They're pretty good. But any closing thoughts, Marcus, before we head out?
No, I mean, hey, listen, I picked the Toronto Raptors in October to get to the finals. And I said back then, if they played a healthy Golden State Warrior team, they might lose. But although they're going to take Golden State to 7. But if one of those great players out of the 4 or 5 got hurt, let's just say Curry couldn't play. Let's just say Klay Thompson couldn't play. And then it just becomes more even. It's a regular great team versus Toronto up and coming. I would have picked Toronto to win the championship because nobody was beating the Warriors fully healthy with Kevin Durant. I don't think. I think Toronto would have pushed him because they play great defense. But, man, I'm just happy I got my prediction correct. I picked Toronto to be in the championship game. And Kawhi Leonard is just unreal, man. And that's mainly the reason. He put him over the top. And you see what happens when a great player signs with your team. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Danny Ainge is kicking himself. You know that he turned down the Kawhi Leonard trade? Like, he said, nah, you can't have Tatum. You can't have any of our first-round picks. Right now, if Danny Ainge would have made the trade with San Antonio, right, and gotten Tatum out of there and Spurs would have Tatum right now, Kawhi Leonard would be in a Celtic jersey standing there with Danny Ainge and Kyrie Irving and all the other Celtics raising a trophy, raising a banner.
Yep.
So Danny Ainge blew it by not believing in Kawhi Leonard.
You guys trust Marcus' picks here. Moving forward in the NFL season, when we have all these game picks, you guys just better pick every game that Marcus picks. So, guys,
I don't know about that, but yeah, all right.
That is it for today. We'll see you Monday, same time, same place. Be ready for some mock draft. Draft's coming, guys. See you tomorrow.